Giga Space Doodle! Because when I don't know what else to draw, I draw space. And I like to think I've gotten pretty good at it at this point. And it's been about a week since I've gotten to draw anything, and I'm having art withdrawals. If you've seen the Space Doodle shorts, you'll know that we're doing something a little different this time. We're going to play around with hue chroma and a couple different layers and some other stuff to make a nebula. Little whirl and pinch distort. We're going to fidget with the base layer to make the stars a bit brighter and able to be seen through the nebula. A little bit of bloom effect and the like. Now we're going to shrink the whole image down just a little bit so my computer doesn't hate me for working on it. And now we get to start on the good stuff, namely the planets. We're going to spend a little while working on the gas giant and then make some others. I figured out the best way to make a planet, at least for me, on GIMP is to make an initial ball, copy that layer, do some hue chroma messing around, and then erase it, and then repeat that process till you're satisfied. For this one, I'm also going to throw in a couple extra color editing filters, but basic premise is the same. Now that the color is how I like it, we're going to duplicate the layer one more time and use Gaussian blur to give us a highlight atmosphere look, using the filter on the copy of the layer that's below the visible one. Now we're going to use dodge burn on the burn setting to add a shadow. And now we're going to plop down a moon and use the same techniques to create it, just with a different eraser pattern. Now that that's done, we're also going to use a little bit of a drop shadow filter and then do the dodge burn on the gas giant to make a shadow. Now we're going to plop down another layer and use the supernova setting to make the primary star or sun of this solar system, partially erasing the layer so it's not overbearing. Now we're going to do a smaller rocky water planet that kind of has a similar-ish equation to Earth, closer towards the sun. But instead of using the burn part of dodge burn, we're actually going to use the dodge part to make it more highlighted, because it's closer to the primary star. Though we will use the burn aspect of it on the opposite side to further enhance the shadow, and a slight high pass just to make sure everything looks crisp. Finally, we're going to play around with a couple different ways to add a shadow trail. Getting it to look quite right in this spot was a little more difficult than other places. And now we're just going to add a little black speck right up in the high intensity area of the sun to imply that there's a much closer planet that we can only barely see. And again, add a little shadow trail. Now we're going to use a more irregular brush shape to create a comet. Again, using the same multiple layers hue chroma eraser trick to get us our coloration. Then we're going to copy the layer and then erase that copy to give us an area to work with and create the comet trail. To do that, we're just going to plop down a couple different lines of blue and white color and hit it with the smudge tool. We're going to duplicate that a little bit and use hue chroma to play with it and put one of the trails in front of the comet orb and the other two behind it. Finally, on this, we merge the different comet layers together and duplicate them a couple times to give us a little cluster. Then, once they're all merged into a single layer, we're going to do a slight tweak to the comet's trails to make them a little bit more wispy and move on to the next thing, which is going to be adding an even smaller dot on the high intensity area of the star to give us one more planet in the system. The last thing we're going to do, solely for the sake of it being funny, is make a little flying saucer with a little green man in it. Now we're going to very slightly erase a bunch of different areas on the spaceship to give it a reflective look, before coming back with both aspects of the dodge burn tool to, well, highlight shadow. Finally, we're going to do little energy trails coming from the flying saucer. The method for that is pretty much the exact same thing as the method used for the comet trails. And there we have it, the Giga Space Doodle. The largest space drawing I've done on this channel since that one that didn't turn out so well. Quite an improvement, I'd say. I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you all did as well. And hopefully it inspired you to give your own try at it.
Generic positive affirmation about practice making improvement.
And I'll see you next time.